Hi guys, this is the American Futurist, and today we will be exploring National Futurism. What is National Futurism? It is an ideology crafted by Constantin Hoffmeister in an attempt to adapt futurism to the modern day. These are he's made like a manifesto for his ideology. He's made other articles as seen here. Basically, he supports. He's very pro science, pro technology, but but he, but but he strongly emphasizes that this is a right-wing version of futurism. So instead of a more traditional, ruralist, localist kind of society, he wants like a pro-science, technological, ever-expanding kind of right-wing futurism. So why is he a futurist? From what he's described, he says it's very Faustian, which is inherent in the white man, embracing the future, going to space, continuously advance. And he also claims that Europe's the way it is with its industrial revolution and all the other achievements that it has made was due to that white Faustian spirit. He rejects what is called intranationalism, which he sees as causing strife amongst European nations. Basically, no brother wars, to simplify it. So cultural and ethnic autonomy under his system would be allowed, but chauvinist nationalisms would be rejected. So chauvinist nationalisms, internationalism would be examples like British nationalism, for instance, or German nationalism, or Italian nationalism, Ukrainian nationalism, Russian nationalism. Like all that stuff would be swept away under a more or less like a pan-European system, which is what he advocates for. Pan-Europeanism, or Imperium Europa, as he would call it. So no federation of states, no no United States of Europe, where there's like a federal system. No, it's pretty much unitary. It's all unitary. Like it's just this one massive super mega state called Imperium Europa. And he also advocates for Euro-Siberia, which is basically Europe and Russia basically conjoined together. It's kind of like a more pro-white version of the EU, and it's because of that he opposes the current EU. This is an article that goes into it pretty well. Countercurrents, Geopolitics of Ethnopolitics, a new concept of Euro-Siberia by Goldemain Fine. This is an example of what Euro-Siberia can look like, more or less. Let's see. He is pro-freedom of association. He doesn't promote European ethnicities mixing like that of the United States, but will not prohibit it because he believes most people will stay within their own nations. He also believes that America, the United States, is a competitor to Europe, but not an enemy, because Europeans live in the USA as a majority as of current. The whole Euro American or European Americans are our brothers and sisters thing, basically. He does take a more materialist outlook, not a spiritual one, when it comes to identity. So he rejects, for example, Evola's spiritual racialism, for example. He more or less, to be blunt, he probably would think that's BS, because the world as it is, he sees the material world as what it is, essentially. What else do we have here? Islam, yeah, he has kind of like a anti-Islamist view. He sees Islam as an alien religion practiced by an alien people who are bent on conquest. And he would give examples of, massive immigration of these peoples from the Middle East. He probably would even cite historical examples, like in the Middle Ages, like the Crusades and all that. He also, he opposes them coming to Europe because he believes they would want to implement Sharia law on the European population. And he believes that Europeans are fighting back due to brainwashing and corrupt governments. As of late, Islam is on his hit list, so to speak. It's in his most wanted list, if you will. He despises them. He is somewhat controversial, at least in certain dissonant circles, mainly due to his pro-Zionist, pro-Israel stances, and this kind of goes with his anti-Islam route. And like I said, this particular stance that he has, it's pretty controversial amongst certain dissonant circles in the left and the right, mainly in the right. So he is pro-Zionist due to right of self-determination, for Jews, and they created Israel's infrastructure from the ground up. Jews made Israel the way it is with the infrastructure, basically modernized it so they have a right to stay there, is what he would say. He considers Ashkenazi Jews as members of the European family, and he also sees secular Arab nationalism, for example, Saddam Hussein, maybe even Bashar al-Assad, along with Israel as a bulwark against radical Islam. So he's not entirely against Arab nations. The only Arab nations he will be against are fundamentalist Islamist groups, basically. He probably would be against Saudi Arabia, for instance. But he would be for Syria because they're more secular in outlook, more or less. He supports state socialism with the use of technology. So, and I put a little thing in my note that basically said updated folk socialism in the Prussian sense, and this is coming from his German background. He also he admires brutalism, by the way, brutalist architecture, to be exact. do and this is because it has that in his eyes it manifests as this sort of Faustian imperial nature. You know, the big massive buildings like kind of strike you like, oh shit, this is like these are buildings fit for an empire, you know. He is he was inspired by Italian Futurism, Dadaism. You can see by his poetic style and his national futurist writings here that it is reminiscent of Futurism. Dadaism for its rejection of bourgeois nationalism. It's modeled on Filippo Marinetti's Futurism for its nationalist and imperialist tendencies. He wants to update it for the modern day, the 21st century. And these most of these notes, by the way, that I'm reading to you, is based off of this interview here. And I will be linking these links in the description below if you want to find more, if you want to read more into this, if you want to listen to more of this, you can. So, but yeah, a lot of it is taken from this kind of material here. As of 2018, when he was he saw no future for Germany due to demographics and a pro-migrant refugee government that doesn't want to increase its own birth rates. So yeah, he does take a more nativist stance, nativist and natalist stance when it comes to this kind of stuff. And one last thing, which I guess for the more Marxist-leaning kind of viewers I have here, he thinks former East Germany residents are more nationalistic due to the GDR promoting traditional Prussian values, anti-homosexuality, so, you know, gay pride parades. And they were more altruistic than the Germans of today. That's all the notes I have. And if you were wondering what this is Palace of the Soviets. This was a piece of architecture that was planned to be constructed back in the early Soviet days, but it unfortunately it never happened. Constantin loves this kind of style, by the way. Like, this is the kind of stuff he would love to have under his system. Anyway, hopefully this video helped you, kind of made you a little more aware of what National Futurism is, and hopefully you'll be more compelled to investigate it. Again, I will post these links in the description below to make it easier for you. This is the American Futurist, and I will see you next time.